Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the screenwriting step-by-step project, episode 187. My name is Glenn Gers, and I come to you every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, if I can make it, to let you look over my shoulder, share my screen as I write a script. And I do this in order to teach a part of screenwriting that I think is under-taught, which is the simple day-to-day, line-by-line process of writing. Doesn't matter what kind of script it is, the basic mechanical process of getting your ideas into an outline, into a rough draft, into a rewrite in script form is the thing that I think nobody spends enough time looking at. How do you do that? And I think the only way to really show you how to do it is to actually let you watch me do it. You don't have to watch all of these. You don't have to sit and watch every page of the script. Drop in here and there, see how you like it, try and take from it bits that you think you can use, because every writer is different and every project that every writer writes is different. So therefore, what you need are tools and skills and examples, things that you can say, oh, in this circumstance, I could try this thing if it works for you. There's no single right way. This is not the best way to do it. It's not the only way to do it. It's just the way that I figured out in my 25-year career writing for TV and movies. So that's it. The main thing I want to tell you is, please, these are trying to be helpful to you. If they're not helpful to you, don't worry about it. Figure it out for yourself. At least this will tell you what you don't want to do. The main thing I try and do to be helpful is I've made these lesson videos. Most of my channel, this is a little sample here of my channel, and you can see the first 3 sections are screenwriting essentials, screenwriting tools, skills, and craft, and the process, being a writer. I try to break down the basic things that I think writers do and try to make them into little 10-minute lessons that are really simple. They're like note cards that you can take or discard as you need them in your work. That's the deal. So let me say hi to everybody. Hi, Thumper. Hi, 99th Precinct. Oh, there you go. Hi, America Latoso. I haven't seen you in a while. Hello, Jean. Hello, Eddie. It is great to see all of you. It is terrific to be back here working on the script. Yesterday, we actually had in episode 186, we had kind of a big turning point, which is I got to the end of the first rewrite. The way this went is I spent the first section of these lessons outlining, figuring out what the scenes were, who the characters were, what was going to happen in this pilot. Then I had to write a rough draft from that outline. Then I had to reread it and start to rethink what worked and what didn't and do a rewrite. That rewrite is done. And now it is time for me to put that aside for a minute and talk to you about a whole other part. Because I was writing a pilot for a series, there's another document. Usually if you write a script, you just write the script. People read the script, everybody likes it or doesn't like it, whatever. When you write a pilot, you have to also write something that explains what the rest of the series is going to be. There isn't really a formal name for this document. You can call it a Bible, but it's not really a Bible, because a Bible is something that you construct as you're doing a show. It's kind of a pitch document. It's kind of there's not even a name for it, but they're going to ask you. They're going to ask you, first of all, to have thought this through, and second of all, they really like it if you write it down. Anyway, so that is what we are going to start doing today. Hi, Division 5. Oh, hi. Yes, thank you. Another pass. It is tightening up. It is starting to get clear. I started to reread it, and I was like, oh, and it is amazing to have done 2 drafts and still only beginning to get a sense of, oh, that's really how this scene is going to work. But I am starting to do that, and it's actually interesting. In trying to let you look over my shoulder and watch here, the thing I cannot let you look over my shoulder as I do is reading. Not just because it would be boring, because I suppose I could read and talk, but because I honestly can't read in a focused, concentrated way and talk to you. So that's something I'm going to have to do on my own and then report back on the process of reading the script through. Okay. Mark Latoso is in the. Oh, that's right. You are on the other side of the planet. They changed the time so class. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, don't miss the class that you're teaching. I gotta say, but remember that. First of all, there are vacation days. You'll see me then. And if not, these things are recorded. Most of the people who are watching this are watching the recorded version. I do love to have people to chat with, but I am trying to design these things so that they are watchable years hence. When I am long done with this project, they will be here for you. Okay, so let's talk about this series document, this thing which has no name. I started. Well, I haven't really. I've got the series outline, which is just basically this is whenever I have a thought for something that's going to happen in the story that happens after the pilot, I just tried to write it down in this document. So I've got, I don't know how many pages, about 15 pages worth of bits of outline, and insights and thoughts. So I'm going to have to read through this. But then also the overview, and that's really what we're going to be kind of doing. I'm going to have to make a new document based in this overview. Am I going to do it in? It's interesting. I'm going to make a new document, which is going to be series pitch doc. So let me do that right now. What format will I use? This is interesting. There really isn't a format for it. So for the moment, I'm just going to duplicate the overview and write pitch doc. Okay, so then the first thing I'm going to do is delete everything in here. Make it a nice fresh document. Series pitch document. Okay, cool. So now you guys can see. All right, so we have this thing. I have a place to put thoughts. This is one of the most important things I can teach you. If you're trying to organize your thoughts, if you're trying to create, make a place for it. Have one place where you're going to put down what it is that you want to do. So here in the overview, one of the things I did was I just, it's for my own purposes, so I didn't bother to format it as readable. It's just things I need to remember or think. And in fact, I do this centered kind of thing just because it's easier for me to say. I'm not supposed to be reading this. I am supposed to be remembering it, seeing it, being able to catch it, look at it, and get it. So that's why I make big and centered. But for the pitch document, I'm going to actually make it readable, which means I'm going to change the formatting on this a little. Let me see. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change. This is text. Okay, so I'm going to take this line of text and I'm going to put it, justify it on the other side, and then I'm going to. Okay, sorry, the camera is in the way of the formatting box. Okay, so now when I type, it will be like this. This is this. Okay, cool. Good. So, crime crackers. Now, hold on. Boop. One thing I have here is this thing is essentially what I need to say, but I need it to be formatted. All right. A romantic comedy thriller series. I'm going to just say series. Hour-long. Do I need to say hour-long drama? Well, I need to say hour-long. But I'm saying romantic comedy thriller. So that is kind of is it a drama? Is it a comedy? It's kind of in between comedy thriller. hour-long romantic comedy thriller. Yeah, I don't want to put hour-long first. That's not important. So I'm going to say a romantic comedy thriller series about a couple who fall in love when they get involved with an online amateur crime-solving community whose hunt for a serial killer provokes the killer to come after them. All right, so now I have the first. This is just like, this is the, if you just had to say, what's the log line? Yeah, that's it. The thing I was hesitant about is provokes the killer to come after them. The them is not clear. Hmm. So, because there could be them, the couple, or them, the crime-solving community. It's actually both. So that is going to be after that. I'm just going to make that. This is not quite satisfactory. All right. So, all right, that's not bad. Okay, so now I have my logline. It needs work, but at least I've got it, and I'm going to make this a little more clear. So this document, currently empty, is going to is going to introduce the basic idea of the pilot, but not really tell, like it's not going to. There's going to be a short summary of the pilot, but the main thing I need to do is summarize what's going to happen in the rest of the series. Um, now, and yeah, I'm going to take this. One thing I want to talk about here is this idea that there is no name for this type of document. There is no particular format. You can go online. It takes some hunting. It takes some looking, but there are samples of other people, like famous shows, how they were sold. Um, the idea that let me think. I think that there's one. Well, Stranger Things is the famous one because they did it very graphically. Actually, hang on a second. I have some of these documents swiped from the internet. So let me see if I can find some of them. Okay, so here's the deal. Let me see. For instance, famously, okay, let me show you Stranger Things. Here's the deal. Okay, so this is, it was called Montauk. Stranger Things was called Montauk at the time. And it was not set in the Midwest. It was set on Montauk, Long Island. But basically, here, so he says Montauk is an 8-hour sci-fi horror epic set in Long Island in 1980. So it talks about um, the the basic mood and feeling, and then there's these graphics. Okay, I'm not going to do that. However, this document, this selling document, is not a bad example of. And then there's the story, and this stuff, not this stuff. Although nowadays they love the business loves if you can do a nice graphic presentation. But this explains the main characters. It tells the story of the pilot and the structure of the series as a whole. Anyway, if you go on the on OL internet, and you can find that. It's the Stranger Things Bible, I think it's called, or the Stranger Things pitch document. Um, Lots on that roster. Oh, the roster. Oh, the models. Yes, that's true. Um, yes, exactly. The Stranger Things, that was great. But let me just look here. For instance, Freaks and Geeks proposal. Okay, so um, so this is what they had for Freaks and Geeks. It was just there's like a, oh, this is the this is the writer explaining what this document is, and then there's like this, and it's just it's paragraphs. It's describing what the series is like. Each week, Freaks and Geeks will follow two parallel stories: one from Lindsay and the Freaks, and one from Sam and the Geeks. So that's like there. Anyway, so it talks about each character, what she's like, what her main arc is. Then they have just a bunch of different-ish ideas for episodes. They haven't actually structured it out. It's not a coherent, unified story yet. It's just basic things that will happen in the season. So that's what this document. That's, and it's about 5 pages, 4 pages when you take away the first page. Anyway, so these are the type of documents, but every single one, there's one for the Dead Zone I've got, The Wire, True Detective. You can search them out. Dietland, that's the pilot. They have these pilot outlines. Fargo, okay, Fargo famously. The series document for Fargo was pretty wild. Here, let's see. Okay, so Fargo, series document, Noah Hawley calls it. Then there's a definition of Fargo, which is partly the place, Fargo in North Dakota, but then the second definition too, a unique brand of true crime story, part tragedy, part farce, in which simple, good-hearted people come to face with something monstrous. So that's the vibe, the feeling, the premise. Now, Noah Hawley is a pretty extraordinary writer, so this is a weird document. He's sort of like hooking you in with, it's the story of an insurance agent who asks a criminal to kill his bully, then beats his own wife to death and lies and cheats to steal away and get away with it. It's the story of a female police deputy. And there's everybody who does these things, these weird pitch documents, does it differently. So that's what we're doing here. I'm going to start to figure out what this is going to say. Luckily, I've already got a bunch of the ideas. First of all, I have to explain who the characters are and what the setup is, the hook, the fact that there's this serial killer who gets stirred up by this guy who says he's going to put out the new evidence, the premise of the pilot, and then to introduce the main characters, stuff like that. Hello, Butte. Hello, Matthew. So that's the job here. This is gonna take me probably, to get the rough draft of this thing. It's probably going to take next week and the week after in our sessions. So right now, I'm just trying to explain what it is I'm doing, because this is this weird thing. I know what we're heading towards. In other words, I have to figure out what actually happens in the series in order to summarize it here. I have not actually done that. Like I said, I put a bunch of stuff in that outline, but I haven't really gone through that outline and plotted out the shape. Is it 6 episodes? Is it 12? What do I think I want to do with it? I haven't figured that out yet, so we're going to watch me do that together. do people ever do this sort of thing for features? Kind of. They ideally you don't do it in writing for a feature. You do it as a pitch, like literally, you go into someone's office and you tell them for 15 or 20 minutes. You kind of say out loud what this stuff is saying, and the main thing you're trying to do is not tell the whole story. You're trying to get the vibe. You're trying to get the hooky elements. You're usually not giving away the ending, because what you want to do, especially with a feature pitch, is you want to get them to say, I want to read this. Sometimes you have to give away the ending, but it's not, it depends. Every project, every pitcher is different. But the answer is you would try not to write down this in features, because essentially if it's written down, they don't need you. And you want to be in that room as much as possible. So in theory, what you do is you would, sometimes they call it a leave behind, like you would pitch and then you would have this leave behind document. But the Writers Guild and most writers are this is a very contentious issue. Some people feel like if you do a leave behind, that's written work, you should be paid for that. So you don't want to give them away for free. I don't know how I feel about that, but that is a controversy. As Sumper says, it could make sense for a franchise if you were, but honestly, nobody here is going to create a franchise. It is almost impossible to create an original franchise. Almost every franchise is based in existing intellectual property, books, graphic novels, something like that. So yes, you might, if you were trying to make a franchise of movies based in a series of graphic novels and you wanted to create a leave behind document that was summarizing it, sure, you could do it. The value of these documents is that they force you to tell yourself the story and to understand the hook and the center of your story. So it's not a bad thing to do. You have to really think about whether you want it passed around. I'm kind of in favor of doing it. The other thing about a feature that you wouldn't want to do this for is a feature is a readable script, a writable script. In other words, if somebody's going to say, do you want to do, I want you to hear my feature, they'd say, let me read it. The whole point about this form of document is you are summarizing a series that doesn't exist yet. You haven't written all the episodes. Otherwise, you just say, read it. The whole point about this document is that they are signing on based in the pilot script and in theory, your incredible track record with working on other people's shows. They're going to say, okay, we're going to commit, $100 million to make a series. Realistically, you will do that without having written it, which is a big risk for everyone involved. So that's why they do this. Nobody writes, very rarely does someone write an entire series by themselves before it sells. I think, actually, I believe True Detective, he wrote, Nick, can't remember his last name, wrote the whole series by himself, but he didn't write the whole series by himself before he sold it. I believe he sold the pilot and then said, then got hired to write the rest of it. I believe, I'm not sure. Likewise, Downton Abbey. He didn't write all of, the one person, Julian, I'm bad on last names today. Anyway, the writer of Downton Abbey wrote all of Downton Abbey by himself, probably with help among producers, but not help like writing, help talking it out. But the main thing is they didn't do that without the commitment from a network or a producer to finance it. Because it's a lot of work to write, even 6, 7 episodes. That's 6 or 7 scripts. It's a lot of work to do for something that if somebody doesn't want, they don't want all of it. If you write a feature, you write 120 pages and then you go write another one and it's different. Writing a series is almost never a solitary artistic exercise. Okay, let me check what you guys are saying. I'm penning some old school in-studio multicam sitcom pilots this summer. Yes. Yeah, I believe it is, from what I understand, but I'm not sure. I mean, in theory, uh, a sitcom is self-explanatory in its pilot, but not really. I mean, it depends. Even if you weren't going to write the document, you would want to flesh out a half dozen or a dozen potential episode stories, story ideas, things that are going to happen in that sitcom. Um, they're going to ask for that. They're going to say, where's it going to go? What's going to happen with it? So even if you're not actually doing one of these pitches, but I don't know that world that well, but my guess is that you would be required to think out what you're going to do with that pilot. That is smart, nice, well handled. Jeff is saying that he's writing some sitcom scripts, which are basically on a single set. The old multicam situation comedy format, because that's really easy to make into a play if nobody will buy it as a show, which is brilliant. Hi, Kirby. Hello. Pizzolato. Yes, Nick Pizzolato. Thank you. Fellows. Pizzolato and Fellows. Okay, fine. That's interesting. I am using a different mic because my other mic, everyone said, was getting too low. So let me know if my audio still sounds funny. Let me know how that sounds. How does this sound? In general, tell me how it sounds. Let's do that. Okay. All right. So that's the premise of the pitch document, the series document. So, like I said, crime crackers. I've accidentally formatted that as... Okay. One of the things we're going to want to do is talk about, let's see, if the first thing, I want to hook them with the genre, the style, so I'm going to talk about I'm going to just make notes of this. That's... I'm just formatting here because this is the first time I've worked in this particular document. So, okay. There we go. In the tradition, I'm just writing it in this other format so that because I'm just making notes here to myself of North by Northwest and all right. Thank you. Audio is okay enough. It's okay enough. You know, one of the things I sort of decided when I took on this project was I'm going to get technically good enough, but not really go crazy trying to make this technically great because it just got too hard to do for me. For an amateur who's just doing these live streams as a way to communicate, I want a minimum of professionalism and a maximum of not breaking my brain and my budget. In the tradition of North by Northwest and charade, crime crackers is a romance and mystery, thriller and a mystery and a a romance and a thriller and a comedy all whipped up together in a delightful dessert. Okay, that's not going to last, but at least it's a start. Okay. The tone is darkened by murder, but is yes, I have worked out the tone. I know what tone I want to do. I don't have the. I don't know how to express it because it's a tone that I love, but it's very hard to describe because it's mixing genres, which Hollywood hates. Um, so. It's the story of Madeline and Norman, two strangers with no interest in solving crimes. Two strangers with no interest who get swept up in the hunt in an amateur hunt for a cold case serial killer. Okay, so I was trying to think of whether there's some series like this. Don't know that there are right now. Probably are. There's so many series. There's so many that I don't know of. Tone is comic. Two middle-aged strangers with no interest in solving crimes get swept in. I don't want to repeat what I said here, which is they fall in love when they get involved. So anyway, so what I'm basically going to try and do here is it's like the back cover of a book. You want in just a few sentences, a paragraph or two, to make somebody anyone who's remotely interested in this type of thing to get hooked and want to read more. You're going to lose a fair number. If somebody's interested in sci-fi or war movies, they're going to look at this. They're going to see romance and mystery, thriller, and comedy, and they're going to go, "No, thank you, done," and that's fine. You're oh, that Gene, that's great. No, definitely they are not sophisticated as train. I'm getting a good feeling it's almost like a screwball comedy. No, that is a great. I totally forgot. Is screwball comedy darkened by murder. That's great. Um, um, when Harry met Mayor of Easttown. um, what would happen if the Coen brothers hmm, hmm, made okay, there we go. Yes, very good point, Gene. Charade and oh, that's interesting. Um, Charade and North by Northwest both have a tone of elegance and sophistication because Cary Grant is the lead in both of them. So we definitely want to deal with that. Okay. All right. Well, this is a good start to this. Good. Um, Hello through the corner. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. What I am doing today is starting to work on what I am calling the series document. Um, the document where you try and explain what the series as a whole is about, because when people read the pilot, they get a sense of the story, but they don't understand the whole where the series is going to go, and so you want to at least lay out your vision, your plan for what the series would be if you were paid and allowed to write the rest of it. Um, so it's a weird kind of document. There is no proper standard form of it. It can be everything from an illustrated uh, promotional guide to a careful, synopsis with character analysis, etc., etc. I'm going to do a little of all of that in this, um, but at least we got to start. All right. Okay, so what are some of the things I'm going to need to get in here? Main characters, main events, um, but then also I'm going to need to get the form and structure. For instance, hour longs. Do I picture it as being 6 episodes or 13? Do I picture the story as ending? I do, by the way, picture the story as ending with the season. Which should I call it a limited series? The thing about it is, it could go on. Um, so I don't want to. I'm just going to say series. The point about the first season, at very least, is that they will solve this particular crime. Um, so that would mean shape of season, shape of other seasons series. Okay, so these are the things I need to accomplish. I'm going to put them up here. This is my checklist of things to do. So I'm just doing that so that I can, like, every time I open this document, I'm going to see, like, okay, this is what I got to get done. Okay, so that's a good start. So let's, all right. So then here, main characters, copy, just put a section here, main characters section. Then we're going to have Madeline, Norman, Xena, Deacons, and then, oh, what's the cop's name? Cop. Then we got Dundosky, Glean, Cameron, Shrimpton, and Ted. Okay. I think, oh, and, George isn't really a character. I didn't complete it. I completed the next draft. I got through the end of the first rewrite, and I wanted to take a pause and start getting into this because this is something that's developed slowly over time. So by getting a rough draft of this document done, then I'm going to go back, do another pass through the script, and then come back and do more of this. That's my big picture for where I'm going with this project. But I did complete the first rewrite. I got to the end. I got it down to 68 pages. I got it to where it's mostly readable with a lot yet still to do. When I started to reread it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I can see how I have to fix this. But it was starting to come together much, much better. All right, so main characters. That's good. All right, main events. And this is an area I have not yet really figured out. And this is where I'm gonna have to like go through my outline and think like what. But the first thing is form, structure, shape, and the shape of the season. Story. That's gonna actually have to come first. Is it first or is it? These. The form and structure you want to give that up front pretty quickly because you want to say, as I think you saw in the documents I was showing you, they would show like they would say this is an 8-hour horror epic, or this is a it's a standard if it's a standard network show, it's going to be 26 episodes per season. If it's a British show, it's going to be 6. So you need to say your concept. And by the way, that does not mean that that's locked in stone. It does not mean that if you want to do 13 episodes and they're like, well, we don't know that this can sustain that, do 7. Then you have to restructure it. So this is just what you would like it to be and what you think they would like. Obviously it's crazy to try and pitch somebody to spend tens and tens of millions of dollars on something that they don't want, that they don't like because you think it's cool. And so if you think, say like, oh, I really think this would be great in the form of 2-minute episodes with a haiku in each one, they're going to say, that's great, make it yourself. So you want to at least identify the familiar business model that you are trying to get into. So let's talk about that. let's say 8-hour long episodes. And each season tells a self-contained story about a particular crime, about solving a particular crime with the main characters continuing. That's not very well phrased, but main characters through the entire series. The relationships between the crime crackers will develop throughout the entire series. Some characters will leave or die, and new ones will be added in each season. See, that way you can always kill off an actor you don't like, or bring in fresh blood. All right. Well, this is not bad. It's a good start. Okay. So the case they are working in season 1 is the chemistry set killer. By the way, the reason I'm doing this in this green type format is because I'm still just getting my thoughts on paper. So I'm just doing it in another format. So it's like a way of taking myself off the hook that I'm not actually writing yet. I'm just making notes. When I get something that sort of feels like it's writing, I'll turn it into this format. But right now, I'm actually just figuring stuff out as I say it. Like the idea that some characters will leave or new ones will be added, I hadn't even thought about that. But in fact, it would, like, if I was conceiving of a series, I think that would be a cool thing. You have some main characters, but they can come and go. That you're not just watching the same thing over and over all the time. As much as people like to follow characters, season after season, they also like some change. So we'll see. Okay. And what I might do is do this, like break it up so that you can like get each, like this kind of statement is kind of like, I want that to stand out. And this is like so conceptual that I probably want to separate it out so that you can like say, wait, what? Okay. All right. All right. Your description of your series keeps moonlighting. Yes, yes. The only thing, the reason that I'm not going to say moonlighting, which I love, moonlighting was fascinating, it's just unique. But moonlighting was in a less dark. It was very light. There was never any serious jeopardy. There was never any serious, frankly, any serious sense that the characters were engaged. Like they were going to be fine. No one was ever really worried that Dave and Maddie were going to get killed the whole point was to have that sort of frothy, bantering, sort of wild take on mystery solving. It goes back to the Thin Man, to early detective movies. There's always been a dichotomy between the sort of safety of the lighthearted romantic comedy mysteries, and also the Miss Marple, that kind of thing where you absolutely know that Miss Marple's not going to get her arm cut off, and then there's the darker detective stories where you're engaged in a sense of threat and change. One of the most important things about something like Moonlighting or Murder She Wrote is the main character is not gonna change. My story, I want there's a sense that they're going to change, that they come out differently than when they went in. So that's it. Yeah, I want Dandosky to stay too. This is the other thing about writing a series or a concept for a series. It's the most fun and frustrating thing you can do, because the odds of it actually getting made, the odds of are just 1,000,000,000 to 1. At the same time, you start to really want it to exist. You want to share it, but mainly you just want it to exist. You want to be able to watch it, and so it's a weird, frustrating thing. I'm going to be talking a bit. I'm doing a video about imagination, about the idea. There's a book called Harriet the Spy. Don't know if you know it. If you don't know it, you should read it. It's a young adult book from the 1960s, but it is freaking amazing. And anyway, Harriet the Spy is a writer, a wannabe writer. And one of the things she does is the very opening of the book is she's explaining how she does a game called Playing Town. And the first couple of pages, first 5 or 6 pages of the book, she's trying to explain Playing Town to her friend Sport, who loves football and could not care less about Playing Town. But Playing Town is basically you make up a town and then you just go wild imagining all sorts of melodrama and soap opera and everything else happening in this imaginary town. And that's kind of what we're doing right now. What I'm doing is imagining this series, and I have to make it up in my head, and then I have to give it some kind of form, but I have to recognize that it will never probably happen. And if I wanted to write it, and this is why I urge you to consider not writing scripts, because if I really wanted to follow this out and explore Dandosky and do, then a series of books would be better. I could write the Crime Crackers series of detective stories. That would be so much fun, and then everyone would, you could do a whole book, a spin-off book about Dandosky. Anyway, yes, that's true. I want Dandosky to stay too. Yeah. Okay, well, we're heading up towards the end of the hour, and frankly, I got much more of this done than I thought I would. And I've certainly explained the concept, which was very important, because this is this bizarre thing you have to do. You have to pitch this. You have to write a sort of sales document, a sort of hype. Like I said, it's like a commercial. It's like a trailer in writing for the show, which both has to act like a trailer in that it's got to give you glimpses of what's going to be fun. But at the same time, it's got to be a logical, rational document that offers them the not just the glimpses, but a practical plan. Anyway, the book is so much better than anything you can imagine. The book is better than any other. I know there's a series now. I know there's been movies. The book. Read the book. It'll take you 20 minutes. It's a young adult book. It's very easy to read, but it is brilliant. Anyway, okay. So yeah, there we go. I'm gonna start to wind down and say, first of all, great to see all of you. Let me just check my calendar. I believe I will be here Monday. Yep, yep. I do not have any particular conflicts that I can see next week, so I should be here all 5 days making this document, and I think we're going to have some fun. So, in the meantime, have a great weekend and go write something. Ah. Okay, see ya.